a society of spirits that worked to capture the evil souls of dead people. The members of this society each possessed different types of supernatural powers. But one day, by mistake, all those powers were transferred to a normal human, which resulted in him gaining destructive abilities. However, these powerful energies also attracted evil spirits who now wanted to kill that man. Now the question was, can this normal man learn to handle such immense powers through intense training? Or will these evil spirits and dangerous creatures find him and destroy him forever? To find out, we must dive into the story without wasting any time. At the beginning of the story, we are shown a boy named Ben, who came to visit during the rainy season with his mother. While walking near a riverbank, Ben saw a girl standing alone. He immediately ran towards her. His mother followed him, trying to catch up. But suddenly, the girl attacked Ben. A little while later, when Ben opened his eyes, he saw that his mother had come between him and the girl to protect him. Because of this, she was badly injured. In fact, that little girl was a very evil spirit who used to attack passers-by in this very manner. Years passed, and Ben had now grown up. But ever since that childhood incident, he had gained an unusual ability. He could see all the spirits around him. Ben even tried to talk to these spirits and solve their problems. One day, when Ben returned home, he saw a strange woman in his room. She was holding a huge sword. Her name was Leah, and she was a soul reaper, someone who captures and purifies evil spirits. Leah was shocked to realize that Ben could actually see her, because no normal human could see soul reapers. Just then, her detector started beeping rapidly, signaling that a very dangerous spirit was nearby. Ben quickly ran to his family members, but at that moment, a giant hand emerged from the house and grabbed Ben's sister. Ben rushed out to save her and saw a huge creature holding her. Ben bravely ran toward the creature to rescue his sister, but the creature struck him and threw him far away. Just then, Leah arrived at the scene. Using her enormous sword, she began attacking the monster. Meanwhile, Ben managed to free his sister and took her to a safe place. That terrifying creature was an extremely evil spirit, attracted by the spiritual energy within Ben. Now Leah had to fight this deadly monster. The creature tried to trap Leah in its mouth, but she somehow escaped and continued attacking it from the air. However, the creature caught her with its hands and began charging a powerful laser bomb from its mouth. Leah quickly leaped onto its back and caused a massive explosion, sending the monster flying away. But this blast also injured Leah badly, and she crashed onto a nearby car. Ben ran over to check on her condition. Leah tells Ben that she's badly injured and the only way to defeat the creature is to transfer all her spiritual powers into him. That terrifying creature had fully recovered by now and was preparing to attack them again. Seeing this, Ben agrees to Leah's request. Leah then touches her magical sword to Ben's body and transfers all her spiritual energy and powers into him. Just as the creature charges toward them to attack, a powerful shadow swiftly crosses its path and slices off one of its arms. The one who did it was none other than Ben, now empowered with all of Leah's powers. He rushes toward the monster with full force, and using a massive sword, he slashes the creature right down the middle, completely destroying it. The creature vanishes into nothingness. Later, Ben wakes up in his room, thinking that everything was just a dream. But when he goes to his family, he notices that a part of their house has actually collapsed. This confuses Ben. Was everything real or just a dream? But his family seems unaware of anything that happened. Ben starts to believe it was all just a dream and heads to school. At school, he's casually talking with his friends when suddenly, he sees Leah there, which shocks him completely. Leah quickly pulls him aside and threatens him not to tell anyone about what happened. Later, they meet again on the school rooftop. Leah explains that she doesn't belong to this world. She comes from a different dimension called the Soul Society, where she used to live. But until her spiritual energy returns to her, she can't go back to her dimension. Since all her powers are currently inside Ben's body, she needs to extract them. To do so, she begins transferring the energy back by touching Ben's sword, which he uses to connect with his inner energy. However, it doesn't work. Leah then realizes that Ben's spiritual energy level is too low, and until it matches hers, she can't retrieve her powers from him. That's why Leah advises Ben to undergo intense training to increase his energy levels. But Ben doesn't want to get involved in any of this. Without replying to her, he simply walks away. When Ben reaches home, he finds Leah in his bedroom. She had nowhere else to go. He asks her to leave, but she refuses. Just then, Ben's father enters the room. Ben's father had heard a girl's voice from his room. When he opened the drawer to check, Leah had already vanished. His father then warned Ben that he's not allowed to bring any girl into the house. The next day, Leah wakes Ben up and starts preparing him for training. Ben was not performing well at all because he wasn't used to any of it. Leah tried teaching him how to properly wield a sword, but Ben couldn't even land a single hit while Leah kept effortlessly striking the practice dummy. Meanwhile, we are shown the Soul Society, another dimension. There, a red-haired soldier named Ranjit tells his master everything about Leah, confessing that they can no longer detect her spiritual power because she transferred all of it into a normal human. The master is furious because giving powers to a human from Earth is considered a serious crime in their world. He orders Ranjit to go to Earth and bring Leah back. Ranjit immediately sets off for Earth to capture her. Back on Earth, after school, Ben is walking home when he suddenly runs into Ranjit, who has tracked him because Leah's powers were still inside Ben's body. Ranjit questions him about Leah's whereabouts, but Ben says nothing. Ranjit likely realizes that Leah may be in danger, so he begins attacking Ben. Ben, however, knows he's not ready for a fight and decides to run instead. Ranjit chases him, but just as he's about to catch Ben, someone attacks Ranjit from behind with a powerful blast, giving Ben the chance to escape. Ben runs home and tells Leah everything, that another Soul Reaper is looking for her. But Leah doesn't seem to care and insists he continue training. She knows that unless Ben becomes strong enough, she can't retrieve her powers from his body. And if that doesn't happen, both of them might die. The next day, when Ben goes to school, a student named Ishida suddenly appears in front of him. Ishida tells Ben he knows about his Soul Reaper powers. Ben tries to silence him and walk away, but Ishida reveals that he too possesses powers. Ishida demonstrates his strength by manifesting a powerful bow and arrow using his energy. Seeing this, Ben realizes Ishida is no ordinary student. Ishida then challenges Ben to a fight to see who is the most powerful Soul Reaper among them. Ben doesn't want to fight, but Ishida keeps attacking him relentlessly. At one point, Ishida pulls out a powerful gadget and launches it toward the city. At that very moment, Leah senses the presence of a dangerous spirit nearby. She immediately forces the Soul Reaper form out of Ben's body, so he can go battle the creature. Meanwhile, in the city, the spirit has transformed into a massive spider-like monster and is attacking everyone in sight. Luckily, Ben arrives just in time. He draws his massive sword and begins attacking the giant spider. However, none of Ben's attacks are landing properly, he's missing every strike, and the spider keeps advancing. The spider was constantly moving its legs, making it hard to land a hit. If Ben kept fighting like this, he was surely going to lose. If I were him, I would have aimed directly at the spider's main body instead of its legs. But to do that, Ben needed to get underneath it somehow. However, the spider had already dealt heavy damage to Ben, and it looked like he might not survive. Just then, Ranjit arrived at the scene. Using my exact technique, he attacked the spider's main body. The spider split in two and was instantly killed. Ranjit had sensed Ben's spiritual energy and had come there to finish him off. Ben tried fighting back with his sword, but he stood no chance against Ranjit's overwhelming power. After being badly beaten, Ranjit moved in to finish Ben. Just in time, Leah stepped in to protect Ben. Ranjit couldn't understand why Leah was risking her life to save a normal human. At that moment, Leah's master appeared, who was also her older brother. He told Leah that giving powers to a human was the gravest crime, and now she must retrieve them no matter what, or they'd be forced to eliminate Ben. But Leah didn't want to do that. So, she begged her brother to give her some time to get her powers back. Her brother agreed and gave her a deadline, until the next full moon. If she couldn't retrieve her powers by then, they would have no choice but to destroy Ben. After the masters left, Leah carried the injured Ben to the school rooftop. She used healing magic to tend to his wounds. Ben, now worried, asked what they could do next. Time passed, and Leah eventually realized something important. Ben's power level may never rise high enough. He simply wasn't made for combat. So, Leah made a bold decision. She went back to her master and, instead of letting Ben die, offered to surrender herself. But just then, Ben arrived. He stopped Leah and refused to let her go through with it. In a shocking move, he challenged the master himself, vowing that he would train hard and one day become a true Soul Reaper. Ranjit was furious at Ben's boldness and was ready to attack again. But the master stopped him. He surprisingly accepted Ben's challenge, though he secretly believed Ben would never survive against a real creature. From that day forward, Leah resumed training Ben, but this time, Ben took everything seriously. He was no longer running away. Day by day, Ben was improving in his training, getting better in every aspect. He knew he had no other choice, he had to become a true Soul Reaper to protect Leah's life. He had already greatly improved his control over his inner spiritual energy, and in a short time, learned to manage all the powers efficiently. One day, Leah and Ben went into the forest, tracking a powerful and dangerous spirit. They eventually found the creature face to face. Leah released Ben's spiritual energy so he could fight the spirit directly. Ben immediately drew his sword and started attacking the creature. But suddenly, he saw a vision of his mother, who had died years ago. It turned out that this same spirit had taken the form of a little girl years ago to kill Ben's mother. Seeing her again made Ben emotional, and he didn't realize that these visions were part of the creature's illusions. The creature soon revealed its true monstrous form, and Ben charged in for a real fight. Their battle took them deep into the city streets, where the creature started relentlessly attacking Ben, causing destruction everywhere. It began throwing massive buildings toward Ben. Using all the techniques he had learned in training, Ben managed to dodge the attacks. But soon the creature grabbed Ben's sword, and it seemed like this was the end for him. Just then, someone attacked the monster from behind, freeing Ben. It was Ishida, who had come to help Ben. Ishida launched powerful attacks at the creature, which caused some real damage. Gradually, Ben started understanding Ishida's technique and began dodging the attacks more efficiently. Ben took the opportunity to get under the creature and struck it with his sword. But this enraged the creature even more. It gathered all its spiritual energy, unleashing a massive storm in the area. The powerful blast seriously injured both Ishida and Ben, sending them flying. Ben crashed into a school bus, which the creature then picked up completely, trying to crush Ben inside. At that moment, Ishida fired an arrow directly into the creature's eye, enraging it further. In fury, the creature completely destroyed the bus. But now, Ben saw a golden opportunity, one he could not miss. He grabbed his massive sword and struck the creature on the head, finally killing it. The dangerous spirit was destroyed. Ben, however, had suffered serious injuries in the fight. Still, he looked at Leah and smiled. Ishida, too, joined them, laughing despite the situation. But then, suddenly, Ishida was struck from behind. It was Ranjit, who had arrived at the scene. Moments later, the master appeared as well. He handed Leah a special blade meant to extract all the spiritual energy from Ben's body, by killing him. But Leah refused. She would not obey this command. She believed that humans could never be inherently evil. But her master couldn't understand this perspective. He was bound to his own laws and beliefs, and to him, giving power to a human was still unforgivable. The master then orders Ranjit to kill both Ben and Leah. Ranjit immediately launches a fierce attack on Ben. Ben first tries to defend himself, but Ranjit's attacks were so fast and relentless that Ben couldn't even see them coming. Ranjit kept knocking Ben back with brutal force. But then Ben remembered his training, especially the technique Leah had taught him, how to read an enemy's movements. Using this technique, Ben started fighting back more effectively. He even managed to hold his own for a while. However, Ranjit's spiritual power was far greater than Ben's. He used all his energy to transform his sword into a massive, powerful weapon, one that could extend in any direction and strike from unpredictable angles. Ben tried his best to dodge, but eventually, Ranjit caught him in his weapon's grip, threw him to a distant location, and unleashed a massive explosion on top of him, burying him in debris. Ranjit believed Ben had been killed. But he was wrong. Ben was badly injured, but still alive. He stood back up, refusing to give up, and charged toward Ranjit again. This time, he broke Ranjit's weapon and knocked him back, proving that he had finally surpassed him. Now the master himself stepped in to fight. He was so fast that before Ben could even react, the master struck him in the stomach, causing severe internal damage. He then effortlessly disarmed Ben and knocked him down again. But Ben still refused to give up. Enraged, the master struck Ben right in the center of his chest, a blow no ordinary human could survive. Yet Ben, barely alive, grabbed the master's arm, still determined to protect Leah. Seeing this, the master decided to kill Ben once and for all, but just then, Leah stepped between them and struck Ben herself, pushing him away. She called Ben a normal human and said he wasn't worth saving, leaving everyone shocked, including Ben. But in truth, Leah was only pretending. She wanted to save Ben's life, and by attacking him herself, she made it seem like she was no longer protecting him. As Ben lay there, stunned by her words, Leah picked up his sword and touched it to her own body, transferring all of Ben's spiritual energy back into herself. The process was successful because now, their energy levels were finally equal. The scene then cuts to Ben waking up in his bedroom, thinking everything that happened was just a dream. He slowly returned to his normal life, until one day, while opening one of his books, he found a message, written by Leah. Seeing that message, Ben smiles softly, and with that, our story comes to an end.